Welcome to the Shorten anime channel. Today we'll dive into the latest episode of Battle Through the Heavens. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel. In a land where no magic is present, a land where the strong make the rules and the weak have to obey, a land filled with alluring treasures and beauty, yet also filled with unforeseen danger. 3 years ago, Xiao Yan, who had shown talents none had seen in decades, suddenly lost everything. His powers, his reputation, and his promise to his mother. What sorcery has caused him to lose all of his powers? And why has his fiancée suddenly shown up? Season 1, Episode 1. Dou Qi, third stage. Facing the magical testing monument as it displayed the 5 big hurtful words, the youth stood expressionless, lips curled in a small, self-ridiculing smile. He tightly clenched his fist, and because of the strength used, his slightly sharp fingernails dug deep into the palm of his hand, bringing brief moments of pain. Xiao Yan, Dou Qi, third stage, rank, low. Beside the magical testing monument, a middle-aged man looked at the results on the monument and announced them with an indifferent voice. Immediately after the middle-aged man finished speaking, without much surprise, the people in the square started a commotion, ridiculing him. Third stage? As expected. This genius has once again taken a step back. This piece of trash really disgraced his entire clan. If his father wasn't the clan leader, this kind of trash would already have been kicked out of the clan. Nobody would care about him, and there wouldn't be such a thing as leeching off the clan home. How could the once famous genius of Wu Tancheng fall to become like this over the past few years? Who knows? Maybe he did something unforgivable and caused the gods to get angry. The ridicule and laughter directed at him came from all directions and resonated in the motionless youth's ears, as if piercing his heart. He could not help but breathe heavily. He raised his head to reveal a delicate and immature face, jet black eyes glancing past the people of his age that ridiculed him as well. His lips, which were previously full of self-ridicule, turned to fill with bitterness instead. These people, were they always this cold? Or was it because 3 years ago they smiled humbly to congratulate me, and now they wanted to take it back? Smiling bitterly, Xiao Yan turned around and silently walked back to the group of people. His lonesome figure seemed to be unable to fit in with the surroundings. Next up, Xiao Mei! Hearing the tester's voice, a teenage girl quickly ran up from in the crowd. The moment she got on stage, the murmurings and discussions quietened down, and every pair of fiery eyes were locked on her face. The teenage girl wasn't more than 14 years old. Although her beauty wasn't immediately evident, her small childish face combined with her innocence captured the attention of the audience. She quickly stepped forward and put her tiny hands on the black stone monument. She then closed her eyes gently. As the girl closed her eyes, the monument shined brightly once again. Dou Qi, 7th stage. Xiao Mei, Dou Qi, 7th stage. Rank, high. Yeah. Hearing the tester read out the result, the teen girl smiled proudly. 7th stage, Dou Qi, how impressive. At this rate, in 3 years, she'll be named a true doujia already. She really fits the name of the clan's seedling. Hearing the unanimous praise coming from the crowd, the girl's smile turned even wider. Vanity, the temptation that so many girls are unable to resist. While chatting with her fellow sister members, her line of sight weaved through the surrounding people and landed on a lonesome figure away from them. Furrowing her brows for a while, she finally decided against walking over. Between the two of them was already a huge gap. Looking at Xiao Yan's performance these past few years, by the time the adulthood ceremony comes, he would only be able to place at the lower tier clan member ranks. She, however, with her brilliance, would become the clan's very important and thus well-nurtured fighter. There would be no limit to her future. An inexplicable sigh emerged from her. Xiao Mei thought back to the youth from 3 years ago, bursting with energy and pride. At 4, he started practicing, and at 10, he achieved the 9th stage Dou Qi. At 11, he broke the 10th stage Dou Qi barrier and condensed his Dou Qi successfully. He became the youngest doujia in the clan since the past 100 years. At that time, his self-confidence as well as immeasurable power attracted countless young teens, which of course included Xiao Mei. However, the path of a genius was always winding. 3 years ago, this genius youngster, whose fame reached the absolute top, received what could possibly be the cruelest blow. The hard work he put into accumulating and condensing the Dou Qi over the past 10 years had, in just one night, vanished into nothingness. All the Dou Qi in his body slowly dissipated with time, and instead, pity for him grew. As a result of losing his Dou Qi, his physical strength decreased as well. From the position of a genius, in one night he fell below the average person. This kind of blow made the youth lose his will to carry on training. The reverence once associated with this lad had slowly changed into disdain and ridicule. Next, Xun Er. Among the commotion, the tester's voice sounded yet again. Following the calling of this highly reputable name, the group of people quietened down immediately. Every single gaze turned. At the center point of attention was a teen girl clad in a purple dress, elegantly standing there. Her calm, tender, and immaculate face was completely unaffected by the many gazes of the crowd. Her calm and indifferent attitude could be compared to the blooming of a lotus. At such a young age, she already had the air of a refined lady. It would be hard to imagine how she would affect the city and the nation once she grew up. This purple dress girl, if compared to Xiao Mei in terms of beauty, was clearly several leagues above. It's no wonder the crowd would have this kind of actions. Taking small, graceful steps, the girl named Xun Er walked up in front of the stone monument. She stretched her small hand out, and the purple sleeve mixed with black and gold threads fell down her arm, revealing a delicate snow-white wrist. She touched the monument lightly. In the silence, the monument shone once more. Dou Qi, 9th stage, rank, high. Looking at the words on the monument, the entire square fell into deep silence. She really reached the 9th stage. How frightening. The position of the youngest high rank in the clan has been taken, without a shred of doubt, by Miss Xun Er. After the silence, several teens couldn't help but wolf whistle, their eyes full of respect and awe. Dou Qi was essential towards being a doji. Dou Qi is split into 10 different stages, and when the body acquires 10 stages of Dou Qi, it can better condense the Dou Qi vertex, becoming a well-respected Dou Qi. In the crowd of people, Xiao Mei stared at the purple dress girl in front of the monument with a little jealousy. Looking at the results on the monument, the middle-aged tester who would normally be indifferent smiled, faced her and congratulated her. Miss Xun Er, half a year later, you should be able to condense the Dou Qi vortex. If you succeed, you'll be a Dujia at the age of 14, the second person to do so in the Yao clan. Of course, the second person. First would be the fallen genius, Zhao Yan. Thanks. The teen girl nodded her head lightly, her calm face showing a little happiness because of his praise. She quietly turned, and in the midst of the crowd's attention, slowly walked to the downtrodden youth in the back of the group. Brother Xiao Yan. At the youth's side, the teen girl stopped. She faced Xiao Yan and bowed respectfully. Her beautiful and gentle face showed an elegant smile, which would make the surrounding girls jealous. What qualifications do I have right now for you to call me that? He faced the girl that could be considered the clan's radiant pearl and said bitterly. She, after being downhearted for an extremely short while, continued to maintain her respect. Brother Xiao Yan, you once said to Xun Er 6 before, to take on anything, one must first be able to let go. One is only truly free when he can take on and let go easily. Xun Er said gently, her smiling face full of warmth. Ha ha ha. Truly free? I only know how to say it. Look at me now. Do I look like a free person? This world wasn't mine to begin with. Xiao Yan laughed at himself, saying dispiritedly. Facing Xiao Yan's somber mood, Xun Er's fine brows furrowed a little, and she said seriously, Brother Xiao Yan, though I don't know what's happening to you, Xun Er honestly believes that you will stand again and reclaim your lost glory and respect. She stopped for a moment, her white, tender face reddening a little. Back then, there were a lot of people who were attracted to you. Ha 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 ha. Hearing the girl's wholehearted truth, he laughed awkwardly but didn't say anything else. Other people would be swayed by it, but he did not have the qualifications nor the mood. Instead, he silently turned around and walked away from the square. Standing still and facing the lonely back of the youth, she hesitated for a while before chasing after him and walking side by side with him. Meanwhile, from behind, a jealous wolf whistle sounded. The moon was like a silver plate, and the stars filled the sky. At the summit of the cliff, Xiao Yan lay on the grass, and in his mouth was a strand of green grass. He chewed it slightly and let the bitterness spread into his mouth slowly. He raised his white palm and put it in front of him, blocking the moon and only letting some moonlight pass through the gaps between his fingers. He looked at the giant circular silver moon in the sky. Thinking back the testing in the afternoon, Xiaoyan sighed lightly. He lazily pulled his hand back and rested both hands on his head. He looked absent-minded. 15 years already, huh? A soft voice that suddenly was spat out from the young teen without any warning. In Xiaoyan's mind, there was a secret that only he himself knew. He wasn't a person from this world. More accurately, his soul wasn't from this world. He was from a deep blue star called Earth. As for unexplainable mystery of why he would be here, he himself had no clue. However, after living here for some time, he slowly realized he passed through to the other side. As he grew older, he slowly came to understand bits and pieces of this continent. This continent was called the Dou Qi continent. On the continent, there wasn't many tales of magic users and their effects, but rather Dou Qi was the main star. On this big piece of land, the training of Dou Qi had become commonplace after the hard work of countless individuals who continued to train beyond generations, expanding the knowledge surrounding Dou Qi all the way to the top. Dou Qi and mankind are one and the same in everyday life, and as such, Dou Qi is extremely important in the continent. It could be called irreplaceable. As the number of levels in Dou Qi kept increasing, so did the number of ways to train it. Some were better than others, as expected. After going through a system of analysis, the Dou Qi rankings in the Dou Qi continent got split into 4 different classes: Tian, Di, Xuan, Huang, and every class was split further into beginner, medium, and high ranks. The doji techniques you learn also determine how strong you would be. For example, if a person practiced a Zhuan class medium rank technique, he would naturally be stronger than a person who practiced a Huang class high rank technique. In the Dou Qi continent, to differentiate the strong from the weak, there are 3 criteria that need to be looked at. First, and also the most important, is your natural body strength. If a person only has a 1-star level of strength, even if he practiced the Tian class high rank techniques, he wouldn't be able to beat a Huang class combat master. Next is technique level. If 2 people of the same innate strength were to battle, the one with the better technique will obviously win. Lastly is Dou technique. Dou technique is a special kind of skill that is used when controlling Dou Qi, and in the land of Dou Qi, Dou technique is also separated into Tian, Di, Xuan, Huang. Dou Qi in the continent speaks for itself, but Dou technique is different. Almost everyone starts off with a Dou technique class of Huang. If you wanted to learn more advanced control skills, you would need to join a sect or enroll in a Dou technique school. Of course, there are some who, by chance, manage to learn the skills that others before have left behind, or those who have compatible Dou techniques. For these people, their combat level might be slightly higher than normal. Relying on these 3 aspects, you can determine who is strong and who is weak. All in all, if you manage to learn a high-level Dou technique, the benefits in the future would be enormous. However, high-level Dou techniques are really hard to come by as a commoner. Those that are open to the public are normal, Huang class techniques. For those bigger clans or small sects, Xuan class techniques are the norm. For example, in Xiaoyan's clan, their highest level technique was only practiced by the clan leader, Lion Wind Strike. It was a wind-style Zhuan class medium-rank Dou technique. Above the Xuan class would be the Dai class, but this kind of high-level techniques might only obtainable by a powerful country-like organization. As for the Tian class, in 100 years, it hasn't appeared once. As previously stated, commoners trying to get a high-level technique is like trying to climb a mountain without gear. However, nothing is absolute. In the world of Dou Qi, there are thousands of clans. In the north, there are people referred to as unbeatable. They fused their soul with wild animals and became barbarians. In the south, there are smart and talented high-class beast spirit clans, and even the strange and infamous underworld people. Because of the vastness of the continent, there are bound to be cases of nameless figures who by chance happened upon a miracle that made them strong. Or perhaps there might be people who are bound by fate to discover strong techniques. In the land of Dou Qi, there is one famous sentence: if you find yourself stuck in a ditch or forsaken by the world, don't panic. Take 2 steps forward and maybe you'll find yourself stronger than ever before. Of course, though this line isn't false in the 1,000 years of history in the continent, There aren't many stories of people getting strong by random chance. As a result of this, every day, there are countless individuals who try to break through and discover a new skill or technique, but instead only return with a broken hip or leg. All in all, this continent is full of mysteries and miracles. To access the vault of secret Dou Qi techniques, you must at least be a full-fledged doju to meet the basic requirements. For Xiaoyan, it seems so far away. Pu Xiaoyan spat the grass out and quickly stood up and made a maniacal face. He faced the sky and shouted, "God damn it! How could I be played for a fool like this?" In his past life, Xiaoyan was a mediocre, average commoner. Wealth, fame, and beauty seemed to run parallel to his life, never intersecting it. Then when he came to this continent, Xiaoyan was shocked. Because of a second set of experiences, his spirit became much stronger than the average person. It must be known that in the Dou Qi continent, your spirit is decided upon at birth. Maybe as you grew older, it would strengthen a slight bit. But there is no known technique to train your spirit to be stronger. It was Xiaoyan's strong spirit that gave him his talent, as well as his fame as a genius. For an average person, if they were told that they could be a genius, there's little doubt that they would claim their fame and live the high life. For the run-of-the-mill person like Xiaoyan, when he started training his Dou Qi, the temptation of being able to rise to fame would be unbearable. Of course, he wouldn't choose to stay hidden and continue to train. If there wasn't any accident, Xiaoyan could perhaps grow even more with his genius label. Unfortunately, at 11, his label was stolen from him, and in one night, a genius turned into a piece of trash. After shouting at the top of his lungs for a while, Xiaoyan finally calmed down, and his face turned calm again. No matter how angry he got, he wouldn't be able to get his strength back. Bitterly shaking his head, Xiaoyan felt miserable. He had no clue what happened to his body, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. His spirit was growing as he aged, as expected. His absorption of Dou Qi was also extraordinarily fast. It was faster than the strongest fighter from a few years back. All these factors should have meant that Xiaoyan was a natural genius. But all the Dou Qi that he absorbed seemed to be completely gone. His self-esteem took a big hit, and he could only feel depressed. Taking another deep breath, Xiaoyan raised his hand. On his finger was a black ring of simple design. The material used to make it was unknown. On it were some markings as well. This was the only present his late mother gave to him before she passed. He started wearing it since the age of 4, and even now, 10 years later, he was still wearing it. It was a precious gift from his mother, and Xiaoyan treasured it dearly. He rubbed the ring and said bitterly, "These few years, I've really let mother down, huh?" Sighing deeply, Xiaoyan quickly stood up and turned around, saying to the black figure from the woods, "Father, why have you come?" Though his Dou Qi was only 3rd stage, his spiritual awareness was akin to that of a 5-star doji, perhaps even better. While thinking about his mother, he felt a sudden disturbance from the woods. Yanran, it's already quite late. Why are you still here?" From within the cluster of trees, after a moment of silence, a tender voice sounded. The trees shaked a little, and a middle-aged man jumped out, face smiling widely. His eyes were locked on his son under the moonlight. The middle-aged man was wearing an expensive-looking gray tunic. He walked with pride and dignity, and his face showed it. He was the Xiao clan leader, as well as Xiaoyan's father, a 5-star Dou Qi, Xiaozhan. "Father, why have you not returned to rest yet?" Facing the middle-aged man, Xiaoyan's smile thickened. Although he had another set of memories when he was born, the person before him treated him as with love and care. When he lost his power and spirit, the love did not lessen but grew instead. This poked at Xiaoyan's heart, making Xiaoyan recognize him as his father. "Xun Er, are you still thinking about what happened this afternoon?" Taking a big step forward, Xiaoyan smiled again. "Ha, what's there to think about? It's within my expectations." Xiaoyan shook his head and forced a smile. Looking at Xiaoyan's tender face, Xiaoyan let out a sigh. The both of them synced into silence for a while, before Xiaoyan said, "Xun Er, you're 15 now, aren't you?" "Yes, father." "Just one more year, and you have to attend the adulthood ceremony," Xiaoyan said. "Yes, father. Only a year left." Xiaoyan's fist clenched for a while before he replied. He was extremely clear what the adulthood ceremony meant. Once the ceremony had passed for the Xiaoyan that didn't train, he would be subject to the criteria of searching for Dou Qi techniques. Because he was so weak, he would be sent to do a normal job in the other parts of the Xiao clan. This was a clan rule, and even if the clan leader was his father, he would not be able to do anything about it. If one didn't reach Dou Qi by the age of 25, the clan would abaddon them. Sorry, Xun Er. If you don't reach the Dou Qi 7th stage by next year, I can't do anything to help you, no matter how much I want to. In this clan, I'm not the sole decision maker. There's also those old geezers waiting for me to make a mistake. Looking at the peaceful Xiao Zhan voiced guiltily, Father, I will continue to work hard. 1 year later, I'll definitely reach the Dou Qi 7th stage, Xiao reassured his father. 4 stages in 1 year? Ah, if it were me from before, it may have been possible, but now, I might not have much of a chance. Though Xiao was trying to reassure his father, he himself was bitter about it. Knowing full well Xiao position, Xiao Jing could only answer with a sigh. He knew that 4 stages of Dou Qi in a year was extremely difficult. He gently patted Xiao head and smiled, saying, It's getting quite late. You should go back and get some rest. Tomorrow the clan has a guest and you shouldn't miss the ceremony. Guest? Who? Xiao asked, full of curiosity. You'll find out tomorrow. Xiao Zhan winked at the restless Xiao leaving with a big smile on his face. Don't you worry, father. I'll work really hard. Xiao rubbed the simple ring while raising his head and whispering. Just when Xiao raised his head, the black ring on his finger suddenly lit up with a mysterious glow and flashed. Blinking, Xiao realized it wasn't a person. A young man was meditating on his bed. In front of him, his hands were clasped in a weird yet relaxed manner. His chest peacefully rose and fell with the rhythm of his breath. Everything was just so natural. With every breath he took, a pale white stream of what seemed to be air darted into the young man's nose and mouth, squeezing into his body and reshaping it. As the young man was meditating, a strange yet dim sparkle appeared for a brief moment on the plain black ring that he wore on his finger. Ah. The young man slowly let out his breath and opened his eyes, blinking. A pale white light flashed across his black pupils. That was the Dou Qi that had just been absorbed but not yet completely refined. It took such great effort to get that Dou Qi, but fuck, it's disappearing again. No, please, no. The young man tried desperately to keep the disappearing Dou Qi from slipping away, but to no avail. As the last sliver of Dou Qi left his body, the young man's face changed from being calm to one of anger and despair, and his voice rose with fury. He curled his hands into fists and was rapidly clenching and unclenching them. Eventually, his visage transited from extreme anger to a forced grin. After all, there was nothing he could do about it. Wearily, he dragged his body off the bed and stretched his numb legs. With only Dou Qi of a 3rd stage, such menial matters were always present. After having done a few exercises in his plain room, an old wizened voice sounded outside of his door. Young master, the clan leader has requested your presence in the hall. The young man was the 3rd son of the clan header, Xiao. Above him were 2 brothers, but they had already left the clan in search of adventure. Only at the end of each year would they come back and meet their family. Overall, however, the 2 brothers were extremely nice to their little brother, Xiao, even when he fell from being a genius to a piece of trash. Coming! Xiao changed his clothes and went out. Outside of his room was an elder in a green robe. Let's go! Looking at the young man's fresh face, the elder nodded his head, but when he turned around, his eyes showed a flash of regret. If young master had his former talent, he probably would have been a great dojo. Such a waste. The elder and the young man crossed through the backyard and finally arrived solemnly at the welcoming hall. After politely knocking, the 2 softly went in. The hall was quite large, but there were many people already in it. At the head of the hall were Xiao Zhan and 3 emotionless elders. They were the clan elders and had equal importance to the clan leader. On the left, below the 4, were other elders from the clan. These elders didn't hold as much power as the clan elders, but nevertheless, they had quite a bit of say and weren't pushovers. Besides these elders were young men that had shown promise and talent. On the other side was 3 strangers. Looks like they were the people that Xiao Zhan foretold last night. The young man's eyes quickly swept through the strangers. Of the 3, there was an elder wearing a moon-white outfit. Although the elder was all smiles, his tiny eyes were full of energy, restlessly scanning the room. Xiao Yan's sight dipped lower, stopping at the elder's chest. On his chest was a silver moon, and besides the moon were 7 shiny stars. 7. Star de Dou Qi. This guy's a 7-star de Dou Qi? Incredible. Xiao Yao could barely refrain from gasping at the elder. The elder was stronger than his own father. In fact, he was 2 whole stars stronger. Anyone that became a Dou Qi was at least a power to be reckoned with. With that kind of strength, most places would probably rush for recruitment. To be able to see such a powerful person, it's not surprising that Xiaoyan was shocked. Beside the elder were a young couple. They were also wearing moon-white robes. The male was about 20 years old and had a handsome face, coupled with a strong build. He was definitely the ideal type for any girl. Of course, the most important thing was, on his chest were 5 golden stars. This represented the strength of the young man, 5-star Dou Qi. To be able to become a 5-star Dou Qi at the age of 20 definitely shows the exceptional talent of the young man. With a handsome face and decent strength, this young man not only became the target of stares from young girls in the clan, even Xiao Mei occasionally sent glances to him. But the looks that the girls gave had no effect on the young man. His entire focus was concentrated on the young girl beside him. The young girl's age was similar to Xiaoyan, which made Xiaoyan flinch. Her beauty even rivaled Xiao Mei's. No, she was prettier than Xiao Mei. In the entire clan, probably only Xun Er could rival her. No wonder the guys of Xiao clan chased girls outside of the clan. On the intricate ear of the young girl was a green jade earrings. As she moved around, the pieces of jade clinked together, chirping a beautiful melody and adding a hint of royalty to the girl. In addition, on the developing chest of the girl were 3 golden stars. A 3-star Dou Qi. This girl, if she didn't use any special methods, she must be an incredible genius. Xiao Yao's heart fell. She had talent rivaling his former talent. But Xiao Yao forced his eyes away from the cold beauty. No matter what, beneath Xiao Yao's immature appearance was a mature soul. Although the girl was very pretty, he kept himself from acting like a drooling slob. Xiao Yan's actions caused a slight tension within the girl. Although she wasn't the kind that had an entire universe revolving around her, her beauty and appearance wasn't bad. Xiao Yan's random glance over her was a first for her. "Father, 3 elders!" Walking quickly, Xiao Yan courteously greeted the Xiao Zhan and the 3 elders. "Ha ha ha, Yan Er, you came. Here, come sit." Seeing Xiao Yan arrival, Xiao Zhan stopped talking to his guests and nodded in the direction of Xiao Yan, waving his hand to indicate for Xiao Yan to take a seat. With a slight smile, Xiao Yan ignored the lazy, almost hateful gazes from the 3 clan elders and searched for his seat. But he was surprised at the result. He didn't have a seat. "Ha ha, my position in the clan is just sinking lower and lower. It was better before, but now they even embarrass me in front of guests, these old geezers." Xiao Yao ridiculed himself silently. In his mind, he shook his head as if it could block the emotions that welled up within him. Looking at the motionless Xiao Yan, the young clan members let out soft, mocking laughter, showing their happiness at seeing Xiao Yan be made a fool. Finally, Xiao Zhan realized Xiao Yan's predicament. A look of anger flashed across his face before being replaced with a bent eyebrow. "Second elder, you? Oh, really sorry. I can't believe that I forgot about young master. Heh, I'll go get someone to prepare a chair." The yellow-robed elder smiled at the staring Xiao Zhan. He patted his forehead in an act of self-criticism, but the belittling look in his eyes didn't fade. "Brother Xiao Yan, come sit here." The clear voice of a girl rang across the hall. The 3 elders tensed, their gaze shifting to Xun Er in the corner. Their mouths twitched, but none of them said anything. In the corner, Xun Er closed the thick book in her lap and blinked at Xiao Yan. Looking at Xun Er's smiling face, Xiao Yan froze for a second. Quickly, he recovered, and after touching his nose, he walked towards Xun Er under the envious gazes of the surrounding clan members, and after what seemed like the longest few seconds, he plopped next to Xun Er. Xiao Yan whispered, "Thanks, you've rescued me again." Xun Er lightly smiled, 2 small dimples appearing on her face. Her slender fingers flipped open the book in front of her. Even though she was extremely young, there was an air of intellectuality around her. After scanning through the page, Xun Er suddenly complained, "Brother Xiao Yan, you haven't sat beside me alone for 3 years now, right? You're a genius in the clan. Isn't it simple for you if you want friends?" Looking at the resentful face of Xun Er, Xiao Yan dryly laughed. "But the thing is, a certain someone snuck into my room every night when I was 4 to 6. And then that certain someone used a clumsy technique and weak Dou Qi to strengthen my bones and meridians. Every time the same person would get himself sweating profusely before leaving. Brother Xiao Yan, do you know who he is? Xun Er paused for a moment and suddenly tilted her head and smiled towards Xiao Yan. How am I supposed to know? I was so young back then. In fact, I could barely walk. How would I know? Xiao Yan's heart began to beat violently. Forcing open a smile, Xiao Yan, guilty, turned his gaze to the center of the hall. Heh. Looking at Xiao Yan's reaction, a slight smile floated on Xun Er's face. Her sight moved back to the book on her lap, and as if talking to herself, she said, even though I know that person did it in goodwill. I'm a girl, right? How can I let someone carelessly touch me? If I ever find out who did it, Xiao Yan's mouth began to twitch violently. Keeping his sight straight, he shut his mouth tight. That wraps up the content for today's episode. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel to get notifications for the next episode. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.